So I was debating on making a lore play out of this question, or if I should just make a normal commentary. And I feel like there's so much to talk about, and I don't want to be distracted by the gameplay that I might as well just make this a commentary. It'll make it a little bit better, I think. But the question is, and there's two questions. I don't know what I put in the title, but there's two questions here. Mizunokage asked me 2 months ago, by the way, it's a long time ago. Sorry, dude, coming here late. But if the Dragonborn dies after absorbing all those dragon souls, would the dragon souls be released? It's interesting, right? Because we don't know much about souls as far as what their powers are. And I'm talking souls as if they're actual entities. I would assume they're entities, since we do interact with a lot of spirits, or more like ghosts, in the world of Skyrim, and they seem to be at least smart enough to be able to talk to you. So I would assume they're sentient, and I would assume they have specific powers. I mean, we know of ghosts that can go through surfaces, right, in the game. But more to the point, souls in the Elder Scrolls series seem to have this extraordinary power of being able to go through things, if that makes any sense. You see, the ability to go from realm to realm is hard. I mean, mages work their entire lives just to be able to go to oblivion, right? Yet when a person dies, their soul automatically leaves Nirn and goes to Sovngarde, or whatever other, realm of the gods is there in this game. They seem to be able to do this effortlessly, which is crazy considering the amount of power that it requires for you to be able to do that. I mean, don't you think that mages in the world of Skyrim go through incredible lengths to be able to, or would they try and get to Sovngarde? Of course they would. Yet souls can just do that, right? Like the ability of souls is incredible in this world, especially human souls is what we're talking about here. We'll talk about dragons in just a bit. But what is interesting is that we're not really sure how dragon souls work in this regard. So we know a lot about human souls, just based on the pacts that you make with some of the Daedras, and I mean a lot of the necromancy stuff. We have a lot of information as far as that is concerned. But dragons work differently. See, humans, when they die, they go directly up. They leave the world of Nirn and they go to Sovngarde or whatever else. But a dragon soul does not do that. A dragon soul stays here on Earth, and there's a lot of, I talked about that in another video. I'm not really, I guess, go back to why I believe that is to be the case, but we know that dragon souls stay in this world, which is the reason why they can be revived by Alduin or whatever else, right? So they work differently just by default, which makes it harder. It makes it a hard question to answer. But think about it this way: when you kill a dragon, and you're not there to, I guess, you know when you kill a dragon, the dragon goes through this whole process of like the skin is burning up and you absorb the soul, and then all that's left is just this carcass of bones, right? If you're not there to start this process after you kill the dragon, like if you kill a dragon with an arrow, really far away, the dragon won't actually decay like it normally does until you get close to it, and then the soul will leave the body and go to you. But that process doesn't start until you're there. So you could literally take a week in the game before actually getting close to the dragon, and the body will stay there. It stays there, just full-on formed, as if nothing ever happened. Of course, he's dead, but other than that, nothing really happened. And then you get close after a week or a month, and then you absorb the soul. So the soul was literally there in the body of the dragon for the entire duration, as if it could not leave. Whether it can or not, I mean, we don't really know. It seems to, this what I would assume that it cannot, just based on the fact that it doesn't, right? Maybe it doesn't want to. Maybe the dragons have more power over what they can actually do with their souls than humans do. That fact we do not know. But at least that is interesting. Now, the body of a Dragonborn works a little bit different. See, the body of a Dragonborn is that akin to that of a soul gem. We talked about how powerful the souls are as far as, going through things. yet they're not able to escape the body of a Dragonborn when he absorbs it, right? Just like a soul that is absorbed by a life gem, but a soul gem, I'm sorry, cannot escape the soul gem, right? There's some magical powers making this happen, preventing the souls from leaving the body, which again, not really explained to us, of course, because that would make things too easy, I guess. But let's go back to the question: if the Dragonborn dies after absorbing all those dragon souls, would the souls be released? Well, let's circle around and ask this other question: are the souls that the Dragonborn consume still within him? Does he consume the souls and eat them to make them forever be gone? You know, almost like adheres him into his body forevermore. Or are the souls literally just floating around inside of his body, you know? Like, I don't really know what to compare it to, but you know what I mean. This one I can answer, however. You see, when you play Dragonborn, I don't remember what the trigger is, you know, what you have to do in order to make this happen, but at some point within the expansion, MrRhexx will start eating the dragon souls of the dragons that you kill. So you'll be out there and God knows where, killing a dragon, and then as soon as you kill it, MrRhexx will come in and steal the dragon soul from the dragon, right? We know that happens. The interesting thing here is that the amount of dragons that he steals from you will actually get back when you kill him. And there is a lot of meaning to this, even though it might seem like there wouldn't be. This means that the dragon souls that he's absorbing are not actually just disappearing. You know, he's not eating them like food, just forever be gone. He's actually keeping the souls inside of his body, and then when you go and kill him, you absorb the souls. So the souls are literally on his body, and then you take them from him after you kill him. So we know that souls, because of that, we know that souls stay in the body. So that's fact number one here that is very important and crucial for this question to be answered. We know that souls can be transferred from one place to another, like trading cards or something. He absorbs them, then you kill him and you take them. But we know that you can actually eat a soul and make them be forever gone, right? Because we know that MrRhexx, through all his years being a Dragonborn, we know that he has killed and absorbed, I don't know, man, hundreds upon hundreds of dragons. Yet when you kill him, you only really get to steal, I don't know what the number is, I think you get like 3 or 5 or 6 or so dragon souls by default when you kill him. Yet we know that he has killed hundreds upon hundreds of dragons. So we know that when you do use a dragon soul to learn a word of power, that you are literally just destroying the soul, maybe just like breaking the soul down to scour that information, and when you do find that information, you just destroy it, right? So you can indeed destroy a soul, but if you don't do that and you just keep those souls in you, they are there and they can be used and moved and maybe even taken out of you, which is important. Now, I will move to the next question just to kind of bring it back later for this question to be answered. Gilherm Gosanetti asks, what happens to the souls in the soul gems when we enchant something? And I want to answer this question to then later answer the first question to the best of my abilities. What happens to a soul instead of a soul gem? You see, a soul inside of a soul gem is sentient, and we know this from a couple of different factors. I believe there's a quest with Asura's Star where you actually get to enter one of the soul gems, and we get to interact with the entity inside, and the entity inside is very well aware of what's happening. You know, he's inside of the soul gem and he knows it. Obviously cannot escape. And we also, when you go to the soul cairn, I believe there's a soul over there that, you know, tells you all about the moment he was captured and whatever. There's a lot of souls in the soul cairn that actually have no idea what's going on. You know, they're lost. They don't even know they're in the soul cairn, right? But there are a few others that know what's happening. So maybe it's just a question of power. You know, the more powerful you are, the more force of will that you possess. maybe the more perceptive you are as a person, the more likely it is for you to be aware of what's happening to you. But we know that when you do get absorbed into a soul gem, there is a good chance that you know what happened. You know, you'll be inside of that soul gem and you'll be like, fuck. You know, people are sentient in here. But let's explain what a soul gem even is in the first place, so that we're all on the same page here. So, the thing about the soul gems is, and let's go and talk about the ideal masters. So the ideal masters are, we don't actually know what they are. We think they're Daedras, but we don't really know. But they inhabit the soul cairn. And these are pretty much gods, like Daedras are in their own world. Now, what the ideal masters have is everything except souls. I mean, they literally have power unending. They create and shape their own worlds to their whim. If they want mountains, they get mountains. If they want trees, plants, monsters, whatever, they get that, right? Like, they have so much power, they can do whatever it is that they want to do. What they lack, however, is playthings. They lack souls. They lack inhabitants of their own world, and that's what they want. They want souls, they want people. So what they do is they exchange the souls of people for power. So what a necromancer does is they tap into the soul of a person they kill, you know, store their soul into a soul gem, and then they give the soul gem to the ideal masters for the ideal masters to give them power in return. And that's where the trade happens, right? So that's how a soul gem works. And then the soul of the person that was stuck inside of the soul gem goes to the soul cairn. And then, I mean, who knows? They spend the rest of eternity in there. It sounds crappy as hell, but I mean, you gotta get that magic from somewhere, right? So that's how it works. So we know they're sentient, right? So based on that fact, we know that there is a very big chance that dragon souls inside of the Dragonborn are actually sentient. There is a big chance that they actually know they're being absorbed by the Dragonborn, and they're inside of the Dragonborn, just kind of like, oh no, when are we going to escape, right? Now, let's go back to the question. This is a very hard question to answer because it's obviously based out of lore that we haven't been told specifically, right? So we're trying to kind of find the logic of the world and see if we can find an answer for ourselves here. But the question would be, if the Dragonborn dies, we know that the souls can be forced out of a body. That we know because you absorb dragons and you kill MrRhexx and you absorb his soul. So we know that souls can be forced outside of the body. But would the souls be able to leave the body after the Dragonborn dies? I feel like to answer that question is, man, are you able to take a soul away from a body without killing the body? Because we need to know if when a person dies, you know, if the barrier that prevents a soul from leaving the body, if that barrier dissipates when a person dies, right? I think that's the key thing to answer if we want to answer this question. And to that point, I'm going to go, and I'm very skeptical about bringing this up because I'm not sure if I'm overreaching here. This whole video might be overreaching. But MrRhexx has a shout that the main character doesn't have. You see, the main character needs to kill a dragon before he can absorb the soul of the dragon. You cannot absorb the soul of the dragon before you kill the dragon, right? So you would be, you might be correct to imply that there is a barrier that needs to be destroyed by killing the dragon before you can absorb the soul. The soul cannot leave the body before it's dead, right? The thing is, MrRhexx has this ability that the main character doesn't have, and this ability happens to be a shout that actually possesses 4 words of power. And I have talked about this before on another episode of Loreplay, not another episode because this is not an episode, but on an episode of Loreplay, I talked about MrRhexx having a shout that actually consisted of 4 words of power, and it was amazing because the ability of this shout was MrRhexx would instantly kill a dragon and then immediately absorb the soul of the dragon. Like, that's it. That's the power of the shout. You kill a dragon, you absorb the soul. Boom, done, right? Now, what I've been asking myself lately is, what if the power of this shout, what if it's something else? What if the power of the shout is to actually absorb immediately the soul of the dragon? And then by default, Since the dragon has no soul, then the dragon dies. So it's not that the dragon is dying first and then you absorb the soul, but the other way around. So you take the soul, and because you took the soul, the dragon dies, right? If that is the case, if there is actually a word of power that makes it so that you can actually take a soul from a dragon before it's dead, then that means that there is no such thing as a real barrier that gets released when a person dies. And if there is no barrier, then we have to assume that it is more likely that the soul will not leave, the dragon souls would not leave the Dragonborn when he dies. Because otherwise they would do it before, right? If they could leave it whenever they would want to, then they just would, right? So I think it's more likely that they wouldn't be able to leave it when you die. But if the shout that MrRhexx uses actually just straight up kills the dragon in one shot and then absorbs the soul, then that means that yes, there is a barrier that is preventing souls from leaving, and that barrier is dispelled when a person dies, which would apply also for humans, I would assume, right? If that's the case, then yes, souls would indeed leave the body of the Dragonborn when he dies. See, this is as far as I can answer the question, man. I'm really sitting here hoping that this is enough for you, Mizunokage, to answer your really hard question. And I know that I'm overreaching. I'm overreaching hard freaking core here. I'm not a fool, guys. This is all just like hilarious speculation here. But I mean, you know, that's what we have to do because we don't really get this information, and it's fun to theorycraft this sort of thing. But I think it comes down to that. Honestly, I think it comes down to that. Is MrRhexx taking the soul of the dragon while the dragon is alive and then killing the dragon because of the fact? Or is he immediately killing the dragon in one shot with his shout and then absorbing the soul? I think that's the important question. And if we get an answer to that, I feel like we might get closer to finding an answer on whether the souls of the dragons would leave the Dragonborn body automatically by themselves if the Dragonborn were to die. Thank you guys for watching. I mean, we're all nerds here. I love this. Alright guys, thanks for the questions, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.